The time is now 7 o'clock.
We are officially in the Trump 2.0 era. So Donald Trump, he took the oath of office Monday local time as the 47th president of the United States of America. So what does this signal? An era of change for the world's diplomacy and economy, as the president has not been shy about his America First agenda even before his term began. So we're in uncharted waters, and for South Korea, which is currently treading its own uncharted territory right now, well, it will have to get its bearings straight to navigate this situation. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Tuesday, January 21st on befm, 부산영어방송. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. And as you can hear, I'm feeling better as well. And I do want to thank you for all the well wishes over the past few days. So it's official. Number 47. Yes, the 47th president. Yes, Donald Trump. He has officially taken office. He took his presidential oath at an indoor ceremony at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda Monday morning. And this day, it's all about like celebrations. But even before, the handover, Trump had been very open about what direction he wants to take the country. So Trump's campaign phrase, MAGA, so Make America Great Again, is already well known, but MAGA is expected to come back bigger and stronger this time around. Not only that, this phrase, all right, so you might have heard, if you have studied U.S. history, the Monroe Doctrine. So they're calling it the Donroe Doctrine, and this has garnered attention. So this is based on Trump's desire to expand U.S. territory by offering to buy Greenland, as we heard, take control of Panama Canal, and also even adding Canada as the 51st state. So Trump has previously warned that he will act as a dictator, his words, on day one of his term during the campaign. And before the inauguration itself, he told supporters that he will follow suit by issuing sweeping measures in the form of executive orders, 행정명령, that would shape or really reshape various policies in America. And Trump said that he would repeal every radical and foolish executive order of the previous Joe Biden administration. So, the longer outlook. We're looking at potential tariffs, changes in support for Ukraine, defense cost sharing with South Korea, that being an issue, and maybe North Korea as well. That's just to name a few. And whether it's for better or for worse, we're all going to be in for, how shall we phrase it, a wild ride for the next 4 years. I think that's putting it, succinctly. So that's what we're going to talk about all throughout the 2 hours, because it is pretty monumental having Trump come back into office. But for a text topic, let's turn to a lighter issue inspired by one of you waivers yesterday in our NoTube chat. Minor, but still important household things or actions. All right, so first up, toothpaste. Ready? Do you squeeze from the middle or from the bottom or end? Very important. Number 2, do you put your socks in the laundry basket inside out or right side out? And lastly, dishes. Do you, meaning you or whomever does the dishes, are the dishes done right after a meal or later on? So those are the questions posed. 자, 소소하지만 중요한 이슈. 집안일 대해서 아니면 행동 대해서. 자, 1번은 치약 끝에서부터 짠다 versus 중간에서부터 짠다. Or maybe like me. Well, does it matter? 어디선지. Middle end. Anyways. Number 2. 양말을 뒤집어서 벗는다 versus 바로 벗는다. Or is it number 3? 설거지 밥 먹고 바로 versus 좀 기다렸다가. Oh, I know. So BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to the YouTube platform. Search for BEFM or 부산영어방송. And once you find our channel, you can subscribe, log in, and chat away with our other waivers. Also, on your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can also reach me for free on our KakaoTalk channel as well. Same thing there. Search for BEFM or 부산영어방송. Send in your messages and even photos as well. The ways you can listen to Morning Wave in Busan, 90.5 or 103.3 FM on the radio. That's if you're in the Busan area. Like I just said, we are streaming live on YouTube, so join us here as well. You can watch again at your leisure. And we have our own BEFM app that you can download for free, or also the Patbang app, very easy to download as well. So it is Tuesday. Let's look ahead to our morning together. We have Andrew with Sports Insider, Bonnie with The Health. For our special interview, we're still really covering the broad strokes for the year 2025. Today we're going to talk about the climate. And this is important because 2024 has been declared Earth's hottest year on record. So, is this interconnected with global warming and thus climate change? So we're going to talk about this plus much more in hour number 2. So stay tuned for that. I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:06 and these are today's headlines. Trump returns to the White House. Donald Trump has been sworn in as the 47th President of the United States at the Capitol Rotunda, where he vowed the golden age of America. Yoon to attend impeachment hearing today. President Yoon will attend his impeachment hearing at the Constitutional Court today, becoming the first president to do so. CIO fails to question Yoon by force. Investigators from the Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, or CIO, withdrew from the Seoul Detention Center last night after a failed attempt to question the detained president by force. Police to seek arrest for 66 people in courthouse violence. The police will seek arrest warrants for 66 people in connection with a violence break-in of Seoul Western District Court and the Constitutional Court over the weekend. Emergency ultrafine dust measures over Seoul and Chungcheong. These measures, including mandating high-emission facilities and construction sites to modify or reduce their operating hours, will be in effect until 9 p.m. tonight. And these are today's headlines. Time for Busan Updates. We have Sue in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, so we have such important questions we want to ask you. So first up, it's about the toothpaste. Second, about the socks. And thirdly, what was it about? It was about
Doing the dishes.
doing the dishes, right. So I know that you moved out recently on your own. So I'm curious, also kind of like a living at home versus now that you're on your own, it might be different. So what do you say?
So when I was living with my family,
Yes.
I was just sorry, excuse me.
It's very dry in here. Yes.
Yes, I would just put my dirty clothes in a very neat way, like into the laundry basket.
Right.
But now I'm on my own. I just throw them like
Anywhere?
anywhere.
Oh,
like
no.
just close to the washing machine.
Oh, close.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I don't always put them into the basket.
So kind of in the vicinity
Yeah. It's all over.
of the basket. What about your toothpaste?
I don't remember. I really don't care about that part.
Oh, because like I don't really care either. But my roommate, he's so picky.
Okay.
So he bought the thing where you put at the end of the toothpaste.
Oh, yeah,
where you,
yeah,
the
yeah.
little plastic thing where you kind of like,
Right. I've
as
seen
you
it before.
squeeze, I don't know what it's called, this contraption, and it kind of, you move it up as you use the toothpaste, right? So it bothered him enough to get that. I still don't care, but anyhow. And then lastly, what about dishes?
Dishes, I prefer to do it right after I eat.
Yes. Okay. So not procrastinating there. Well, let's dive into our Busan updates. Busan City and Busan Facilities Corporation, so we're talking about Busan 시설공단, they're trying to address the lack of cremation services.
Due to the increasing deaths from respiratory illnesses such as influenza and pneumonia, Busan City and Busan Facilities Corporation have taken emergency measures to address the overwhelming demand for cremation services. They have increased the number of daily cremations at the public Yeongnak Park crematorium to 12. Starting on the 21st, they plan to further increase this to 13 sessions per day from 10.
I see.
And this adjustment allows the facility to handle up to 91 cremations daily, addressing the growing demand and reducing the burden on grieving families.
I see.
And the high demand had previously forced families to hold extended funerals instead of 3-day funerals to 5-day funerals, or travel to nearby cities like Ulsan or Gimhae for cremation services. Additionally, a lack of available funeral homes caused more inconvenience for citizens. So to enhance operations, Busan invested 3 billion won, 30억 won last year in refurbishing crematorium equipment and plans to allocate another 2.52 billion won, 25억 2천만 won, by the end of this year to upgrade 15 cremators and related facilities.
I see. Well, hopefully this will not just, alleviate the pressure on the cremation services, but a smoother process, hopefully ensured for the grieving families. All right, next up, let's talk about Busan Suyeong-bae Yacht Stadium, which will be developed or redeveloped into a maritime cultural complex for the first time in, 40 years?
Yes. Actually, last year I went there for the first time to go on a cruise. It was great.
Yes.
Yes. So this project will be carried out using the build, transfer, operate (BTO) model, with the private sector fully investing 158.4 billion won, 1,584억 won.
Yes.
And the project operator will manage and operate the facility for 30 years after its completion. Construction is planned to start in May this year, and it will be finished by December 2026.
Yes. So will people still be able to take, I guess, a cruise or go out on yachts?
Yes. The measures are in place to ensure the continuation of the popular marina boat rental business during construction, and the redevelopment will reflect residents' feedback, adjust facility scales, and host cultural events to boost the local economy and attract tourists. To address potential traffic congestion, Haeundae Beach Road will be expanded from 6 to 7 lanes to 8 lanes. Currently, the yacht stadium accommodates 438 vessels, and after redevelopment, capacity will increase to 567 vessels, and the site will also feature exhibition and convention facilities, a yacht exhibition hall, yacht club buildings, yacht maintenance facilities, and a swimming pool and commercial facilities.
Yes.
So Mayor Park Kyung-jun emphasized the project's importance as a milestone for Busan's marine leisure industry to make the city as a global hub for maritime activities.
I see. So we can look forward to all of this. Well, next up, the city of Busan has announced that it will provide 1 million won to citizens who have had a baby after January 1st of this year as part of the Busan Postpartum Care Support Program. So this is the 부산형 산후조리 경비 지원 사업, right?
Yes. So this support program aims to ease the financial burden on families regardless of their incomes. So eligible applicants are children born after January 1st this year, who have registered their birth in Busan, and both the baby and at least one parent must be registered as residents in Busan on the date of birth or the application date. The support will be up to 1 million won per newborn, with families of twins are eligible for up to 2 million won, and families with triplets or more eligible for up to 3 million won.
I see. And let's talk about the kind of services families can access with these funds.
Families can use the funds to access services like in-home postpartum care provided by health managers,
Yes.
postpartum care center fees, and medical treatment for the mother. And the program also covers personal expenses for postpartum care services, care center fees, and medical treatment for recovery. And this includes traditional herbal medicine prescriptions like hanyak.
Oh, okay. That should be helpful. And additionally, the city will expand its pregnancy and childbirth support services this year as well, right?
Yes, it will cover up to 3 fertility tests for men and women aged 20 to 49 with a maximum of 130,000 won for women and 50,000 won for men per test. And for couples facing infertility, the program will increase support for infertility treatments, covering up to 25 cycles of treatment per child, and will also provide treatment costs in case of failure to support couples who wish to have children.
I see. Well, good luck to all the soon to be hopefully parents if they wish to be so. The Busan Museum. That's what we're talking about next. It is recruiting participants for an exhibition-related program. So it's titled Weaving a Tea Coaster. This is for adults?
Yes. Catherine, are you an eager weaver?
An eager weaver. I don't know about weaving, but I'm definitely into knitting.
Oh,
I've tried
really?
knitting
Yeah.
before. Weaving, I haven't tried before.
Right. There's a slight difference. So knitting involves using loops with
Yes.
needles. But then like weaving, they use it like with the like interlacing like threads
yes,
and
yes,
making
yes.
like towels or blankets, more sturdier fabric.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
So
not
let's
a
go-
knitter.
You're not a knitter. Are you a weaver, though?
No.
No, neither.
No way.
Well, tell us about this program.
Yes, this program is a North American indigenous weaving culture craft workshop, and it is linked to the Busan Museum's special exhibition titled "The People We Knew as Indians." And this exhibition started last October, and it will end in February this month. And participants will create tea coasters using the weaving technique, like manually interlacing threads to weave fabric. And this is a traditional craft of native North American.
Sure.
And afterward, they will move to the exhibition hall to hear an exhibition guide by the curator. The workshop is inspired by a proverb of the Navajo tribe. Navajo, sorry.
Yes.
Right. And they say weaving is a gift from the gods and our tradition and worldview, which emphasizes weaving as part of their cultural heritage. And the crafting experience will be held on January 24th and February 7th, just 2 days, from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. in the museum's education room. Starting at 3 p.m., the program will be also linked to a guided tour. And the registration period is from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. until January 23rd, through the Busan Museum website. A total of 20 participants per session will be selected on a first-come, first-served basis, and the program is free for all adults.
It sounds like a lot of fun. So hopefully, if you're interested, you can go check this out. So thank you for all the updates. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to our traffic and weather. It is now 7:18. This is your traffic report. There is an accident to report on. It has happened on Nakdong-Bukdo Bukno Gupo Bridge, right at the beginning of the bridge, in the direction of the Gupo-Daegyo intersection. Please be careful of this area. Traffic on the Dongso overpass from Domnaekgo ramp to the old Gaegeum toll gate. Also congested on Luno Samsungdaero from Myeongho intersection to Shinho Bridge. And also slow going on Gwanmundaero from Pangnam Tunnel to Baekyang Tunnel. Currently, it is 2 degrees Celsius under clear skies. Daytime high will go up to 12 degrees. So there is still a dry weather special alert in effect over Busan. The fine dust and ultrafine dust levels are both bad, so you're going to want to wear a mask. Looking at the weather across the nation. So once again, bad fine dust across the nation, very bad levels in eastern Gangwon, Chungcheong, Daegu, and Gyeongbuk areas. Heavy fog in the central region causing low visibility. So please be careful as you're heading out today. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now time for News Digest. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, so important questions before
So
we get to the
important.
hard news. Okay, toothpaste, socks, and dishes.
But these cause fights.
They do.
They really do.
Arguments.
They really do. So
Yes.
first, toothpaste, I do have a very firm opinion on it, always from the end. And I mean, full respect to people who don't, but I'm like, really? Like we just squeeze from the middle? That's
But it's not like we defending the people who just don't really think
Please
too
do.
much about.
Please do.
It's not like we squeeze it like this. It's just like it's like a little squirt. So it's like I don't think just not much thought.
the Saw family is very firm about this. So
Oh,
much
it's from
so
the end?
we have binder clips.
Yeah.
We didn't buy the squeezy thing, but we just
binder
we just have
clips.
binder clips and we fold it down from the end, and we just by we I mean my dad.
My roommate specifically bought
It's the
the
dads.
toothpaste squeezer.
Yeah, it's the dads. I don't know why, but I mean, it is what it is, and and let's see what else. Socks. That is one thing I do right is that I will peel off my socks right side out, and then. But I mean, whether they make it into hampers, a whole different story.
Right.
And then I told my producer because the dishes thing was her idea, and I'm like, all right, for me, the debate is not when we do the dishes; it's who does the dishes. As long as it's not me, I don't care. Do it tomorrow morning.
No. You know what about the dishes though?
Yeah.
For me, it's like regardless of who does them, and by the way, it's usually not me, but
You cooked.
Yeah. So I think it's fair that someone else does the dishes, and he does so willingly. But the rinsing, though, is really important to me. Meaning, we use a dishwasher.
Yeah.
But if you don't rinse right away, like especially like egg yolk.
Oh yeah, no, the gunk. It
gunk,
just hardens.
ooh,
right.
it's
Yeah,
so bad.
that
Pet
you have
peeve.
to pour water into it. That's
Hot
what we
water.
do. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Let's jump into our bit of news. We're going to begin with the investigation into President Yoon Suk-yeol's insurrection charges. So the detained president again refused to show up for questioning, prompting the CIO to take the president by force.
Well, they tried to, and then the
Yes.
president refused again. So, by the way, by force means they tried to get him into the interrogation room. So, Yoon refused the summons yesterday morning. And then later in the day, the CIO, Kong Soo-cheol, sent 6 investigators to Seoul Detention Center to forcibly investigate the president. So, the agency stressed that this forcible investigation, it's permissible under the law and it is supported by court's precedents.
Okay.
However, President Yoon refused the questioning repeatedly, and in accordance with human rights protection regulations, the CIO had to pull out around 9 o'clock at night. So there was about a 6-hour standoff.
Okay.
However, the CIO says that they will continue with the criminal procedures, including, again, trying the forcible questioning later today.
I see. And let's talk about the police. The police were once again turned away from conducting their raid of the presidential premises.
So we are definitely seeing a pattern. So the police's special investigation team, they again attempt to raid the premises that are linked to the martial law declaration and the prior planning. So the investigators arrived at the Samcheongdong secure facility to seize the CCTV footage and the presidential security headquarters, which also has the server for said CCTVs. However, after a 3.5-hour long standoff, the presidential security wound up giving the authorities released this written statement, basically of them refusing to submit such documents. They cited a legal clause that requires permissions to raid locations housing classified military or official information. By the way, if you're counting, this is the second attempt at raiding these facilities and, of course, a second failure to do so.
I see. Well, President Yoon Suk-yeol has been uncooperative towards the CIO, but he's also spoken out against the Constitutional Court, or at least its rights to rule over this impeachment case. So
Right.
let's get into it.
Which is interesting because we are hearing now that he will appear in front of the justices later today
Yes.
for oral arguments.
Right.
So what's going to be held today is the third round of oral arguments. But going back to last week, the second oral arguments, President Yoon's defense team emphasized that, number one, that once again, the martial law declaration was allegedly justified and therefore is not subject to judicial assessment. 사법적 판단. So his attorney Cho Dae-hyun, who interestingly also served as a constitutional court justice in his previous career,
Right.
claimed that the judicial branch, the courts, cannot rule on the legality or constitutionality of highly specialized acts of governance, which are classifying the martial law declaration as being. And he actually didn't just stop at the legal argument, but added that the president, who, according to the attorney's claims, has the best knowledge and the best interests of the nation and the people, he can make the most accurate assessment of what constitutes governance.
Yes.
And therefore, the National Assembly, the courts, and all the way up to the Constitutional Court, they have neither the information nor the ability to judge this. 심판할 정보도 없고 능력도 없다 was his direct quote.
Okay.
So basically, the attorney flat out rejected the court's ability to rule on the martial law issue on the Constitutional Court level. And experts have weighed in, saying that this type of attitude of not just denying the charges, but denying the court's ability to rule on the charges.
Yes.
It may not be received well in the process of the impeachment trial because we do have precedents. With ex-President Park Geun-hye, her uncooperative attitude was a factor in the court back then upholding her impeachment.
Yes, indeed. So that's what we have on this topic. We're going to move on to a social issue. The country has begun to discuss readjusting the age at which a person is considered a senior.
Right, because this is an age-old issue that we've been discussing for about the better part of a decade.
Yes.
But South Korea is officially a super-age society. So
True.
therefore, discussions on the legal age at which a person is considered senior or elder, that's also begun in earnest as well.
Yes.
And by the way, this is also a financial decision because it affects pensions and retirement. So according to government data, if the pension age goes up to 65 from the current 63, the country would save 13 trillion won across a span of 2 years. And further savings could be had from the government's job support and other
Yes.
financial support measures. So a lot of the South Korean welfare systems, they're based on the senior age being 65. And by the way, this is the age that was established back in 1981.
Well, most would agree, at least on principle, with raising the senior age. The practicalities and the logistics might be difficult.
Right. So why do we want to raise the age of seniors? Well, not just the cost, but once again, this age of 65 having been established in the very early 80s.
Yes.
A 65-year-old back then, what he or she looked like, or how they felt physically in
Sure.
terms of their health, vastly different
From today.
from today, right?
Yeah.
That's been 30 years with leaps in medical advancement. And that's what's also interesting. 65 is the widely accepted age of seniors. It's not a legal definition. And it really differs depending on what we're looking at. So again, pension, 63. But the thing is, 주택연금, which is you're holding your home as collateral to get an additional pension, is 55. Seniors under the anti-age discrimination law puts retirement at 60, but the same law also defines seniors as 55. So the point is, it's
all
kind
over
of
the
all
place.
over the place.
Right.
Exactly. So that's the core point. But then again, we also have to look at issues like different wealth distribution, fairness with youth policy, and a slew of other issues, which is why discussions are definitely necessary.
Yes. So this is something I think we're going to continue to talk about, I'm sure. All right, let's move to the U.S. for our next story. As we covered in the opening, Donald Trump is officially the 47th president of the United States, and he is having, we'll just say, quite the first day in office.
He really
Yes.
is. So, I mean, Donald Trump, he is very unconventional. We can all
Right.
agree on that. And even his inauguration speech, which these speeches are usually very formal. They're very to a certain formula.
Yes.
However, Trump kind of steered away from this and basically criticized his predecessor to his face. So let's take a listen to a clip from that.
My recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal and all of these many betrayals that have taken place, and to give the people back their faith, their wealth, their democracy, and indeed their freedom. From this moment on, America's decline is over.
Right. So usually presidents do talk about making things better from
Yes.
the previous administration, but a horrible betrayal is definitely interesting wording.
And he also said that he would sign a series of executive orders to overturn, I guess, the last 4 years, basically.
Right. So Trump said he will declare a state of national emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border. And he also said that he will sign a series of executive orders to crack down on the border, boost domestic energy, and end government-mandated diversity programs. So he also outlined a number of steps that he will take immediately, including, again, sending troops to the border, declaring some gangs and drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations,
Yes.
and reinstating the controversial Remain in Mexico program that basically requires migrants to wait for their asylum proceedings on the Mexican side of the border. So he's really kind of honing in on the border issue on day one, among others.
Right. So that's Donald Trump, who is now president. But outgoing president, now former President Joe Biden, he didn't really take the sitting down, I mean, so to speak.
Right. So we're definitely looking at some unprecedented issues. So usually in the final days of one's administration, it's very calm. These days are
Yes.
very quiet, reflecting. But Joe Biden really took his executive powers to the unprecedented degree in his last hours, really.
Yes.
So Biden definitely had, colloquially speaking, some tricks left up his sleeve. He issued a number of preemptive pardons as a shield against Trump's potential revenge. So presidential pardons are very common. However, preemptively assigning pardons, that is definitely an interesting tactic.
Yes.
So these pardons are basically something that we haven't really seen in recent U.S. history.
Sure.
But they basically serve to protect several outspoken critics of Donald Trump. So that's because Trump has previously said that he will take action against his critics, including investigators, so prosecutors of the January 6th riot.
Yes.
So Biden therefore issued preemptive pardons for these investigators, along with the COVID chief, Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, who's the one who famously said Trump is a fascist, as well as Republican Representative Liz Cheney, another
Yes.
Trump critic, along with even some members of his family.
So that's
The
a wrap.
shield is up. Yeah.
That's a wrap for Joe Biden and the Biden administration. And now we're in the era of Trump once again. So thank you for the news. And we'll continue to, of course, waggle with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
And it's time for our first song break of the morning. So here it is. This is 재즈 카페 by 신해철.
Brandy, blues and high heel, cola, pizza, Valentine Day. 까만 머리, 까만 눈에 사람들의 목마다 걸려있는 넥타이. 어느 틈에 우리를 둘러싼 우리에게서 오지 않은 것들. 우리는 어떤 의미를 입고 먹고 마시는가. 빨간 립스틱, 하얀 담배 연기. 테이블 위에 보석 색깔 칵테일 촛불 사이로 울리는 내 피아노 밤이 깊어도 많은 사람들 토론하는 남자 술에 취한 여자 모두가 깊이 숨겨둔 마음을 못 본 채하며 목소리만 높여서 얘기하네 흔들리는 사람들 한밤의 재즈카페 하지만 내 노래는 누구 위한 걸까 사람들 돌아가고 문을 닫을 무렵 구석 자리에 숙녀는 마지막 메모를 전했네 노래가 흐르면 눈물도 흐르고 타인은 알지 못하는 노래에 담긴 사연이 초록색 구두 위로 떨어지네 흔들리는 사람들 한밤의 재즈카페 하지만 내 노래는 누구 위한 걸까 흔들리는 사람들 한밤의 재즈카페 하지만 내 노래는 누구 위한 걸까
아, 죄송합니다. 제 한국 딕션이 안 좋은가 봐요. 저는 분명히 재즈 카페라고 할까요? It was Jazz Cafe by Shinachol. I do have a public service announcement that I need to get out to you. So this is a message. The Korean National Police Agency has issued this public service announcement at 7:17 a.m. This morning, January 21st, 2025 nationwide. Regarding the Jeju airplane crash, the Korean National Police Agency is conducting a thorough investigation into defamatory posts and videos that harm the honor of the victims and their families. Spreading false rumors or posting defamatory content and videos indiscriminately is a serious crime. Please refrain from actions that could further hurt the bereaved families. And once again, this was a public service announcement from the Korean National Police Agency. All right, so back to our text topic. Number 1, toothpaste, squeeze from the middle or end. Number 2, socks. Do you put them in the laundry basket inside out or right side out? And lastly, dishes. Number 3, right after you eat or later on. So those are the choices we're talking about. So I'm just going to read one message for now. I thought this was interesting because he mentioned a study. Okay, so Michael, one of our waivers, he says that he 치약은 끝부터 양말 바로 설거지 웬만하면 바로 밥 먹고 설거지를 바로 하면 장수한다는 연구 결과가 있었다 해서 가능하면 바로바로 하려고 노력 중입니다. So he is like a super trooper. He squeezes from the end of the toothpaste, never turns his socks inside out, and tries to do the dishes right after the meal because he said he read up on research saying that if you do so, that you will live longer. So while you think about that, let's get to Kat's pick for today. For today's Kat's pick, we want to focus on the 3 Israeli hostages that were released after 471 days held hostage by Hamas. Here's a clip from NBC News.
These are the moments 3 Israeli hostages finally met their families. When 15 months of pent-up fear, heartache, hope, and uncertainty turned to joy. Romi Gonen was shot and kidnapped at the Nova Music Festival. Her mother Mirav was on the telephone with her and thought she may have been listening to her daughter dying. Daron Steinbrecher, a veterinary nurse, was ripped from her home by Hamas gunmen in Kfar Aza, a kibbutz near Gaza. Emily Damari, kidnapped from the same kibbutz, posting this morning, "I have returned to my beloved life." The hostage handover took place in Gaza City. Hundreds of Hamas militants gathered in the streets. For them, this was also a show of strength. The Hamas and Red Cross vehicles parked just yards apart. Hamas filmed it as well. And in a bizarre gesture, Hamas fighters gave the hostages goodie bags containing a map of Gaza, a release certificate, and photos of their captivity, and forced the women to pose with them for their cameras before being released. After the transfer, the Red Cross drove the women out of Gaza, handed them to Israeli security forces and their waiting families. In Tel Aviv, thousands gathered to watch it unfold live on a big screen.
And word has just come that they are now safely inside Israel. Romi, Daron, and Emily, everyone here knows them by their first name.
Yonatan Ben David is a family friend of American hostage Idan Alexander, echoing the message from many.
I do hope this does open up the opportunities for all of the hostages to come home and end the war.
Israeli strikes have stopped, but much of Gaza will need to be rebuilt.
Once again, at least for those 3 women and their families, happiness, right? Elation, Romi, Daron, and Emily. However, of course, many have died as well, and some have not returned home. And this was Kat's pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for Sports Insider. We have Andrew here. Good
What's
morning.
going on? Good morning.
Hey, so
Oh, yeah.
text
Hey.
topic. 3 scenarios.
Okay.
Number
Jeez.
1, toothpaste. Do you squeeze from the middle or at the end? Number 2, socks, inside out, or are you a nice person and you always put them in the hamper right side
Oh,
out?
I thought you meant like putting them on.
No.
I was like, whoa, where are you going with this?
No,
I like
no.
this. All right.
And then number 3, dishes.
Sure.
I mean, assuming you do the dishes, or anybody, like, do you tend to do them right after the meal or like later on?
Toothpaste, I was just saying to Haley outside there, I've some issues, and I voiced this on this program before.
Yes.
Maybe it's not a phobia. Would that be the way to put it? If the cap is off of the toothpaste,
Yes.
I can't use it. It's kind of, I don't know if there's something, how you would describe that, if there is a phobia, momophobia or something, but yeah, something like that.
So
But
you're a little bit OCD about the toothpaste cap.
just a cap.
Just a cap, okay.
Because I'm scared something may have crawled in there. Something like that. Now
Okay.
I'm getting people thinking like maybe you're going to have some issues about it too. I don't know. I don't, if it's a fresh tube of toothpaste,
Yes.
don't really care. But I don't have one of those thingamajigs you roll it with.
Yeah,
I just push up from the bottom. It's
from the
okay.
bottom.
For socks, yes, I do make sure I flip them Right side out. Yeah. And dishes, if I'm cooking, I usually do dishes while I'm cooking to kind of get ahead of the curve there. Like any pots and things like that. And then it's just the dishes we use while we eat that have to be cleaned up. But yeah, I tend to do them quite quickly, I think. I try to. You know, obviously there's some times that you can't, but I try to do them right away.
Okay. Yeah. Well, now we know more about Andrew.
Yeah, maybe too much. All right. Now
Let's get into
I have a question for you, a hypothetical here, okay?
And you said don't look at the script, so I didn't.
Yeah, so I'm just curious of your answer right off the bat. I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
But let's see.
If you owned a company, all right,
okay.
And let's say that company had a huge asset that brings in a lot of attention, and because of that asset, your company and all those involved benefit from this asset, i.e. make a lot of money.
Okay.
Now, if your number one asset just so happened to be with the current number one music artist in the world,
I know which story.
would you try to capitalize on this opportunity?
Why not?
By, I don't know, maybe making some social media posts?
Well, if I'm the CEO of a company or I'm in charge of PR,
100%.
Like, heck yeah, why not?
Especially if your company is, every year in a deficit and they need some
capitalize on anything and everything.
100%.
To get into the black, yes.
Yeah, so I think most people would say the exact same. Well, WNBA fans are criticizing the league for failing to capitalize on a viral moment involving rookie sensation Caitlin Clark and pop superstar Taylor Swift.
That's right.
So Clark, the number one pick in the 2024 NBA draft, joined Swift in a private suite to watch the Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Houston Texans in an NFL playoff game on Saturday. Now, despite Clark's immense popularity, and obviously you go over to the Swifties and everything like that, it was an opportunity for the WNBA to be like, all right, even on their stories on the gram or something like that, to bring more eyes over to the WNBA.
Of course.
Nothing.
Why?
Crickets. And I'm not. There really hasn't been a statement about it. And the thing is that their previous post or anything that involved it was like somebody's jersey retirement. Now, I'm sure the person who had their jersey retired deserves all their accolades, deserves their flowers and everything like that.
Right.
But this probably would have, have that as well. But get this in there as well, and you're going to bring in, tens of millions of eyes to your page because of this, and then potentially bring over some new fans.
Because bar a few sports, just categories like let's say figure skating or gymnastics.
Yep.
Just generally speaking, especially for professional sports.
Yes.
The highlight is usually on the men's side, and I am not pitting men against women.
No.
It's a fact.
It's a fact, yeah, for sure.
So this could have been an opportunity.
But there's so many people also that after or during a Chiefs game will always, hashtag Taylor Swift to see if anyone's posting things of her at the game, watching, her boyfriend and these kind of things. So I don't know. I think they could have done better there. Yeah.
So Michael had a question for me. I said to get into the black. He says, what does that mean? It means 이제 like 적자 흑자 into the black, meaning getting out of the red.
Yes.
And getting into positive territory.
Yes.
Because you want to make profit. You don't want to be at a deficit.
Or
at a
financially
minus.
Sound, I guess would be another way to put it.
Because that's what that means. Just to address that since we're here.
And the WNBA has not been in the black. They've been
in the red.
In the red
yes,
a lot.
In the red.
They missed a chance there.
All right. Major fumble.
Yeah, major fumble for sure.
Fumble.
Hey, there you go.
Fumble.
Over to some tennis.
Oh.
All right, so some more drama here now. The Australian Open has never shied away from some drama. A few years ago during COVID and Novak Djokovic, when they deported him from the country.
Oh, gosh.
And that was exactly. Yeah. Now, there's been more drama involving Novak Djokovic, who it wasn't really him, it was just his name. And Aussie TV personality Tony Jones, over these comments he gave live and a subsequent apology that followed. This is coming from Sky News Australia. Let's take a listen.
Well, seasoned sport commentator Tony Jones has apologised to Novak Djokovic over comments he made about the Serbian during Nine's broadcast of the Australian Open.
Back to Melbourne Park where you can see the Novak Djokovic fans there in full voice. Yeah, the chants are quite extraordinary. Novak, he's overrated. Novak's a has-been. Novak, kick him out. Boy, I'm glad they can't hear me. The comments were made on the news on the Friday night, which I considered to be banter. I considered it to be humour, which is consistent with most things I do. But the Djokovic camp was not happy at all with those comments. Now, as such, I immediately contacted the Djokovic camp and issued an apology to them. So this is...
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways you could look at this, right? I think if, nothing had ever really happened with Djokovic during the Australian Open and everything like that, I think maybe he may have taken this a little bit differently. But because of what happened a few years ago, I think he's a little bit on edge when it comes to everything involving Australia. And this, I think you could tell by the presenter's tone that he was just having some fun. It was some banter, but he did say he overstepped the mark.
Yes.
But he also came under some fire from, a lot of big name, tennis players around the world, male and female. And a lot of people were like, yeah, okay, you did go too far.
Right.
He did apologize. But he is also the same TV personality that, earlier in the tournament last week, he targeted American player Danielle Collins and labeled her a brat for her post-match reaction when she defeated Australian Destiny Evera. So they also, Djokovic did come out, he says he accepts his apology, but, prior to that, he said, I will not do any on-court interviews with Channel 9 until there's an apology. And after, it became aware to everybody in the public after his previous match that usually it's you stand there and we can see the photo here if you're watching on NoTube as well. He took the mic from the on-court interviewer, and it's a thing that they do, and he thanked the crowd, thanks for staying, thanks for the positive atmosphere, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I'll see you in the next round. And everyone was like, why would that happen? And then it came out afterwards. But, those interviews get the clicks.
Yes.
And if those interviews aren't there, the clicks aren't there.
True.
So I think maybe he may have been told to, hey, get off your high horse here and apologize to the Serbian.
Right.
Yes.
So, well, please tell me we're going to glaze over Tottenham this week.
Yeah, so move on to the Premier League here real quick. Now, I won't be saying too much about Spurs. Their on-field performance says it all, apparently. The North London club continues to slip down the table after their 3-0 loss to Everton on Sunday. Now, another team who's getting a lot of attention for all the wrong reasons is Manchester United, who lost 3-1 to Brighton on Sunday, leading their manager who was just appointed last November to make a pretty bold statement. So there's a lot of struggles going on within the club, and new manager Ruben Amorim, he labeled the club the worst in club history. But the way I listened to this interview, I think he was trying to say that the media will label it that. But the fact that he's saying it...
It's like taking out of context, though. It sounds bad.
And he's also, I think he's trying to pull a fast one and get ahead of the media by, him creating the headlines and saying what they're going to post.
Yes.
But I don't know. It's
getting ahead of the criticism.
Yeah, but it didn't really come off like that. He's only been able to secure 11 points in 11 games since he's assumed the reins at Old Trafford, back in November. Now, the Man U boss followed in the steps of Spurs manager Ange Postecoglou, saying that he is not going to change how he plays, which a lot of people do not agree with. And that they need to figure things out. So after his statement about, saying the worst team, and then saying he's not going to change, there's a lot of people who are like, well, how and why are these players going to want to put their neck out there for him when he's not really giving them any confidence?
Well, if he's resistant to change, even though things are not getting better.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying.
And similar to Ange Postecoglou as well. Now, on Saturday night, things weren't looking great for Liverpool on their trip to Brentford. Now, it wasn't until extra time when Darwin Núñez banged in 2 goals in 3 minutes to give the Reds, the win and extend their lead at the top. So Liverpool do have the lead at the top of the Premier League table right now with 50 points with a game in hand, which they'll have against Everton in February. And then Arsenal, who slipped up on the weekend, are in second with 44 points, tied with Nottingham Forest. And I have to keep talking about Forest because it's absolutely amazing.
Yes.
But we'll see how long they can stay in the pack. And after a win early this morning, Chelsea jump into fourth place ahead of Man City with 40 points.
All right. That's the top of the league. Thanks for all the sports. And we'll check in with you real soon. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Here is Breaking Glass by David Bowie, and that'll take us to 8 o'clock.
befm 부산 영어방송. 귀뚜라미는 지키겠습니다. 지진으로부터, 가스 누출로부터, 환경 오염으로부터, 가스비로부터 여러분을 지키겠습니다. 귀뚜라미 50년 기술로 품질에 대한 믿음을 지키겠습니다. 보일러는 역시 귀뚜라미.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 bfm 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참! 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 알 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
The time is now 8 o'clock. This is news highlights. Trump returns to the White House.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Donald Trump has been sworn in as the 47th President of the United States at the Capitol Rotunda, where he vowed the golden age of America. Trump criticized his predecessor, President Joe Biden, and listed his priorities on trade, immigration, and national security. Trump is expected to sign a series of executive actions, including declaring a national emergency on the U.S.-Mexico border, pulling the U.S. out of the Paris climate deal, and pardoning some January 6 defendants. Yoon to attend impeachment hearing today. President Yoon Suk-yeol will attend his impeachment hearing at the Constitutional Court today, becoming the first president to do so. Yoon's attorneys said that the president plans to attend as many hearings as possible. The court is set to hold a third hearing on the impeachment trial at 2 p.m. today to review evidence submitted by the National Assembly related to his short-lived imposition of martial law on December 3rd. CIO fails to question Yoon by force. Investigators from the Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, or CIO, withdrew from the Seoul Detention Center last night after a failed attempt to question the detained president by force. The agency said their efforts to detain and question the suspect were unsuccessful due to Yoon's continued refusal to cooperate with the investigation. Yoon again refused the CIO's request for questioning yesterday morning. Once again, his attorneys claimed that the CIO illegally tried to force the questioning. Police to seek arrest for 66 people in courthouse violence. The police will seek arrest warrants for 66 people in connection with the violent break-in of Seoul Western District Court and the Constitutional Court over the weekend. 90 people have been detained so far, the majority in their 20s and 30s, with the youngest in their teens to the oldest in their 70s. The police have vowed stern punishment. The justices of the Supreme Court yesterday also issued an unprecedented statement saying that these acts are an outright denial of the rule of law. emergency ultrafine dust measures over Seoul and Chungcheong. Acting President Choi Sang-mok yesterday directed relevant government agencies to implement emergency environmental measures as ultrafine dust warnings were issued for parts of the country. Earlier in the day, ultrafine dust warnings were issued for parts of the Greater Seoul area and South Chungcheong province. These measures, including mandating high-emission facilities and construction sites to modify or reduce their operating hours, will be in effect until 9 p.m. tonight. And this was News Highlights. Time for Waglwa글. Haley's here.
It is indeed. Hello.
Yes. So we're going to dive into our first story. So this is about Seoul Western District Court, which is looking at massive levels and amounts of damage after President Yoon Suk-yeol's supporters stormed the court.
Right. So the Supreme Court's administrative office yesterday, they drew up a detailed report on what happened early Sunday morning with this mob attacking the courthouse. So Judge Cha Eun-kyung of Seoul Western District Court, she directed a court employee to pass the warrant approval to the CIO, and they received that at 2:53 in the morning on Sunday. And the press was notified of it at 2:59. So right at about 3 o'clock in the morning, news broke. And at that point, an angry mob of supporters, they entered the court premises. It only took them about 7 to 8 minutes to do this.
Okay.
And into the building 14 minutes later. So at this point, there was a number of court employees who were there on nighttime duty. And I mean, they were terrified. They had to block the door with a vending machine, but the protesters, the mob broke through anyway, at which point they evacuated to the roof of the building. So reports said that about 25 employees had to barricade the door to the roof with chairs, and they were waiting there, by the way, out in the cold for about an hour. The court cleared at about 5:15 in the morning, so we're looking at about 2 hours. No employees were hurt physically. However, a lot of the employees, according to the report, are suffering from psychological trauma.
Yes, indeed. And I know that some of you have seen the footage and the photos like we just posted on our YouTube channel. So what about material damages?
Right. So the office estimates about 600 to 700 million won, so 6억 to 7억 won worth in damages. Because we're talking about damages to, number one, the outside wall, the windows, shutters, CCTV storage system, the entry systems, furniture, and even art having been destroyed.
I see.
The court did clean up the facilities quickly and resumed normal services yesterday for the most part. However, they are operating on strengthened security, so you need to show your case number and ID to enter, and general inquiries and complaints will be closed until the 24th.
Yes. So once again, I'm just relieved that no one was injured during the melee. All right, let's move on. The authorities have caught a group of people who were allegedly trying to sell semiconductor secrets to China.
Right. So, and these are not only business secrets, but classified state secrets as well.
Okay.
So we're talking about a case of corporate espionage in the case of Samsung Electronics' key national technology.
Yes.
So Suwon prosecution recently detained 2 people and indicted 9 others without detention linked to this case. This, I mean, reads like something out of a movie.
Yes.
So these 2 individuals who have been detained, a 55-year-old CEO of a company and the technical director who allegedly bought blueprints from a former employee of a Samsung Electronics partner. And what this partner firm makes is basically this chip cleaning process. It's called 세정 장비. Of course, if you've ever seen clips or pictures from how semiconductor chips are manufactured,
right,
it is a pristine process, right?
Yes.
They wear masks and protective gear. And the thing is, though, you have to clean the chips of debris that are about 1/10,000th of the width of a strand of hair without damaging the chips.
Wow.
So this isn't just like a pressure wash machine. It is a very sensitive, precise technology. And this is crucial and highly technical.
Okay.
So what happened is that once again, these individuals allegedly bought the blueprint of this cleaning process, also a blueprint of a transportation robot of this cleaning machine. And they allegedly built devices and robots for this cleaning process to be exported. So Samsung Electronics and its partner, by the way, they've developed this technology over 30 years and massive investment that went in. The blueprints, by the way, are designated by the Trade Ministry as national key technology.
That's how important they are.
Yeah.
Now we need the details of who, what, where, and to whom these secrets, this technology was supposed to go to.
China. Right. So one of the suspects previously worked at Samsung Electronics, and he allegedly bought off multiple engineers from the company and the subsidiary partners.
Yes.
He allegedly received 7.8 billion won from a domestic corporate headquarters of a Chinese firm. And he sold already one sample to China and was in the process of making 2 more machines to be used. So the prosecution says that if the technology had indeed been sold to China in its full iteration or really anywhere outside the country, this would have caused irreparable damage to the domestic semiconductor technology.
That's right. Well, next up, let's talk about people mentioning ways to shame drunk drivers to prevent them from committing crimes again, right? And so Taiwan actually done this.
Right. So domestically, we've talked about some proposals of like maybe making very colorful license plates for repeat offenders. Well, I mean, Taiwan has actually made not the license plates, but this come true.
Okay.
So its capital city of Taipei has decided to use public shaming as a drunk driving prevention method. How? By basically posting blown up photos of your face on,
like literal public shaming?
Literally public shaming. We are just short of physically throwing stones.
Okay.
So the city's traffic adjudication office announced that they'll be posting magnified photos of the faces of repeat offenders on public bulletin boards.
Magnified.
I mean,
확대해서요.
확대해서요. Like that.
Oh,
but I'm
that's
like,
big.
That's big, but do I have sympathy? I don't know. Just generally not a sympathetic person. So the hope is that public shaming offenders, this would, be served as a deterrent to whom might be tempted to drink and drive. And that was according to that office in a news release. So how are they able to do this? Are there laws? Yes. Under revised laws, people who are caught driving under the influence and those who refuse to take a breathalyzer test for the second time in a 10-year period may have their name, photo, and violations made public by the authority in their jurisdiction. This measure was announced last week. It targets drivers who have committed 3 or more DUIs in the last 10 years. And usually, if you are caught 3 times in 10 years, who knows how many times you've actually driven drunk. So, but this only pertains to this city, not nationwide. By the way, in addition to publishing this information on the department websites, they will have it physically, both on the website and in public. So, be warned.
Well, I agree with our waiver, Michael, who says 음주운전은 절대 안 됩니다.
Absolutely.
With 5 exclamation points. I wholeheartedly agree.
In capital letters.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I believe in zero tolerance for that because you could kill someone.
Right.
All right. For our last story, we're going to go back to Washington, D.C., on details of Donald Trump, now President Donald Trump's inauguration. Yes.
So in our number 1, we talked about the broad stroke, the official, important state-related matters. Now we're going to talk about some details, the wagle-worthy aspects of the inauguration. Actually, we're going to talk about what happened the day before, because Trump has gone really full 180 on how he feels about cryptocurrency. And how 180? Well, he has launched his own coin along with his wife. So they both have their own cryptocurrencies. So disclaimers on the website and it's $Trump, that's the name, and $Melania is also the name of their coins respectively.
Yes.
They say they're not intended to be or the subject of an investment opportunity or security. then just as a layperson, then why did you make it? But according to the CoinMarketCap website, Trump's coin had a total market valuation of about $12 billion. Melania's at about $1.7 billion.
I see.
So, of course, the first couple, their value's spiking right now. However, once again, not an investment opportunity, as the websites say, and please don't take any investment advice from me, especially. And then on Inauguration Day itself, it's usually fashion. It's the fashion that takes spotlight, and it is what it is.
Yes.
Of course, just being how fashion goes, male fashion doesn't usually
make the headlines.
No,
Not really.
it's not all that exciting. He was wearing a maroon tie.
It's all about the first lady.
It is all about the first lady.
We're not going to lie.
It's always been. Why is Jackie O such a cultural icon? So Melania Trump, speaking of Jackie O, or Jackie Kennedy back then, Mrs. Trump wore a dark navy coat with a dramatic hat.
Yes.
And do we have pictures? Yeah. It was dramatic. And that's following the tradition of former first ladies like Jackie Kennedy and Nancy Reagan. There is kind of a comical video / gif of him Trump trying to go in to kiss his wife, and he actually couldn't make contact because of the hat. Yeah, so it was what it was. By the way, speaking of that photo where excuse me, he is taking the oath of office, he has his hands over, and we'll get to that preposition in a bit, but he used two Bibles. The first one is the Lincoln Bible, which was, of course, one used by famous 16th President Abraham Lincoln, also used by Barack Obama in both of his swearing-in ceremonies. And another one, a newer one, gifted by his mother for when he graduated Sunday school back in 1953, I believe.
Yes.
But it was the hand placement that was...
There was none. His hand wasn't on the...
You're supposed to have your hand on the Bible. So if you look really close, where was his hand?
Missing.
Yeah. So there are jokes, and lightly jokes, saying that, well, was he then technically sworn in?
There's lots of memes right now regarding that. It's a technicality. Of course, he is officially number 47. Can't get away from that. So thank you for all the woggly information, of course, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you for that,
This
Haley.
is hour number 2. I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Oh, my gosh. I thought we're having hour number 3.
You wish.
Some people do wish.
Some people do wish. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Haley.
Bye.
And before we get into our traffic, I want to give a shout out especially to Taejin, who has joined us while on vacation. And also, he gave us a little bit of insight. 휴가 전에는 아침 방송 듣다가 차를 박았어요. 운전 중 채팅 위험해요. Oh, so please be careful. And we, of course, want to say to everybody out there, we love getting your chat, your messages, but please, only if you're stopped in a safe place, not while you're driving. But we're glad to see that you're okay. All right, here's your traffic and weather. It is now 8:17. Here's your update on traffic. There is an accident on Luno Samsungdaero from the Myeongji underpass to the Shinho Bridge direction, right past the underpass. It's been cleared, but it's still causing some backup. Also congested on Mandukdaero from Manduk intersection to the cathedral there. Also backed up on Nakdong Namno from Hadan intersection to Hagwon Bridge. And also slow looking on Gwangan Bridge, that top portion from the Haeundae area to Taeyeon, the overpass there. And as for the weather, it's currently 2 degrees under clear skies. It's going to go up to 12 degrees, so relatively warm. However, there is a dry weather special alert in effect. Also, fine dust levels and ultrafine dust levels are both bad here in Busan, so you're going to have to mask up. Elsewhere in the country, bad fine dust across the nation. Very bad levels in eastern Gangwon, Chungcheong, Daegu, and Gyeongbuk. Heavy fog in the central region also causing low visibility. Let's all be careful out there today. This was your traffic and weather. This is YMCA by The Village People.
I said, young man, pick yourself off the ground. I said, young man, cause you're in a new town. There's no need to be unhappy, young man. There's a place you can go. I said, young man, when you're short on your dough, you can stay there. And I'm sure you will find many ways to have a good time. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything for young men to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. You can get yourself clean. You can have a good meal. You can do whatever you feel. Young man, are you listening to me? I said, young man, what do you wanna be? I said, young man, you can make real your dreams, but you've got to know this one thing. No man does it all by himself. I said, young man, put your pride on the shelf and just go there to the YMCA. I'm sure they can help you today. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything for young men to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. You can get yourself clean. You can have a good meal. You can do whatever you feel. Young man, I was once in your shoes. I said I was down and out with the blues. I felt no man cared if I were alive. I felt the whole world was so tired. That's when someone came up to me and said, young man, take a walk up the street. It's a place there called the YMCA. They can start you back on your way. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything for young men to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys. YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Young man, there's no need to feel down. Young man, pick yourself off the ground. YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Young man, are you listening to me? Young man, what do you wanna be? YMCA. You'll find it at the YMCA. No man, young man, does it all by himself. Young man, put your pride on the shelf. YMCA. And just go to the YMCA. Young man, I was once in your shoes. Young man, I was down with the blues.
아, 이럴 때 정말 카메라가 필요한데 우리 피디님 등실등실 이러고 춤추고 있었어요. To YMCA, that is now not how it's done. By the way, have you seen them at the pre-inauguration rally or ceremony? How shall I say it as nicely as possible? Everybody ages, me included. You, everybody, you, right? So they were looking a little mature than what we're used to seeing. But anyhow, great to hear that song. And we're going to turn to our text topic today about the toothpaste, the socks, and the dishes. So let's see what some of you had to say. And I'm going to read one from Taejin, because he's texting from Bali on vacation. He said, 치약은 잡히는 대로 짜요. Oh, me too. 그거 막 신경까지 써야 되나요? 자, 남자 아닙니까? 남자 아니라 저는 여잔데도 별로 그거는 신경 안 쓰는데 양말과 설거지는 바로 합니다. 이것 아내의 등짝 스매시와 잔소리가 한몫했어요. 아주 좋은 습관이에요. So he says, with the toothpaste, just wherever. He doesn't really care much. But with the socks and doing the dishes right after, thanks to his lovely wife that encourages him with, he calls it 등짝 smash. I call it light love tap on the back. Yes, that he has acquired good habits. He does it right away. All right, for now, though, we're going to get to our special interview. I'll be back in just a moment. Global temperatures surpassing the critical 1.5 degree Celsius threshold. That happened in 2024, a milestone that raises the alarm for the future of our planet. And scientists warn that breaching this limit, even temporarily, could have far-reaching impacts on extreme weather, ecosystems, and of course, human health. So as South Korea also faces rising temperatures, understanding the global implications of climate change is so important. So let's learn more. We have invited Professor Andrew King, Associate Professor in Climate Science at the University of Melbourne, a Chief Investigator at the ARC Center of Excellence for the Weather of the 21st Century as well. Hi, Professor. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes. So 2024, if I'm not mistaken, has been declared Earth's hottest year on record. So first of all, is that true? And if we can talk about the main factors that contributed to this.
Yeah, so at this time of year, we always see declarations about the previous year's climate records and temperatures. And what we've found out in the last couple of weeks is that 2024 was indeed the world's hottest year on record. There's different organizations around the world that create data sets that kind of track global temperatures, including NASA in the US, for example. And they all agree it was the hottest year on record.
Yes.
It was first year above 1.5 degrees warming relative to pre-industrial levels, as you mentioned. And a really stark warning as to the state of Earth's climate and how fast things are changing as well.
Indeed. And so we often hear about this whole the El Nino, La Nina, but the El Nino weather pattern was highlighted as a key contributor to last year's extreme conditions. So if you could, kind of simplify what El Nino and if its effects are and how this might amplify global warming, can you kind of school us in this?
Sure. Firstly, we've obviously got this strong warming trend, and that's why we're seeing these hot records being broken often. But the reason that 2024 was particularly hot relative to even the last 3 or 4 years is because of the El Nino, as you mentioned. So El Nino conditions are where we have unusually warm conditions in the central and eastern Pacific, cooler conditions in other parts of the Pacific. And we get these variations in Pacific temperatures. Sometimes it's warmer, sometimes it's cooler in that region. And this has quite big effects on Earth. It kind of moves around weather systems. But also when we have El Nino conditions, so when it's really warm over kind of central and eastern Pacific Ocean, the Earth's average temperature tends to be a bit higher as well. And this is partly because we get a general transfer of heat from kind of deeper within the ocean to the surface, where we're observing and tracking the temperature more closely. And it's also because of the relationship between El Nino and weather patterns around the world. It basically encourages a higher average temperature as well. Yeah, we're always more likely to see record high temperatures when we have El Nino conditions, of course, coupled with the background global warming trend.
I see. Thanks for explaining that for listeners. So, Professor, how likely is it that we're going to continue to kind of exceed that 1.5 degree threshold that is, kind of touted in the news? Climate scientists, they always mention that 1.5 degree threshold and also the 2 degree as well. But how what's it going to look like in 2025?
So even though we're rapidly warming the planet,
Yes.
part of the reason for the record last year was that El Nino, and that's kind of gone away now. So it's likely that 2025 will be a bit cooler, most likely just a bit below that 1.5 degree threshold again. But that doesn't mean we're out of the woods at all. We always have variability from one year to the next, but just kind of imposed on this background warming trend.
Yes.
So we're going to see another year over 1.5 fairly soon. Maybe not this year, but next year or the year after, I would guess. And this 1.5 degree threshold referred to in the Paris Agreement isn't really just about 1 year. It's about kind of average conditions in the climate being above that, being the problem.
Yes.
We're getting close to that. We're not at that yet, but this record hot year last year is a warning sign of just how close we're getting to the kinds of temperatures that we need to be avoiding further global warming, really. Associated impacts. Like we know, for example, if we kind of stay well above 1.5 degrees of global warming, we would lose a lot of coral reefs. We would lose a lot of animal species, particularly in our oceans, and the long-term damages, particularly to the Arctic and Antarctica, and also in the tropics as well. So there's quite the whole reason for the Paris Agreement is to try and avoid dangerous climate impacts. The longer we stay at elevated global temperatures, the more danger we're putting the planet at.
And so as a follow-up question to what you were just saying, what does all of this indicate about us, human beings, humanity's progress in fighting climate change? I mean, I would definitely want to look at it positively. I don't want to say we're, completely failing, but in your estimation, in how you see things, are we succeeding at all, or are we just failing miserably?
We're not taking the action we need to take. So we are seeing some progress. We're seeing decarbonization happening in some countries, particularly in Europe, actually. But it's not on the scale that we need to see. And globally, greenhouse gas emissions remain at record high levels. So despite the fact that we've had decades of warnings about the enhanced greenhouse effect and the damage we're doing to the climate system, we've actually gone in the wrong direction over the last 10, 20 years, despite, understanding that for quite a long time, that problem. So we're starting to see progress. Some countries are moving in the right direction. We need to see global greenhouse gas emissions tracking backwards. And only when we do that will we slow down warming of the planet.
Yes. Well, over the past year, at least last year, we saw a lot of extreme weather conditions, and that not 100%, but also affected things like what happened in Los Angeles with the recent wildfires, and just even here in Korea, we had like an extremely long, hot summer followed by very short fall, and now we're already into winter. These extreme weather conditions that we do seem to be seeing more of lately, I mean, can you make that correlation, that link to climate change, or do you think that, it's a correlation but not a definitive connection?
So we actually have a pretty good understanding of how climate change is affecting extreme weather events, and it's generally, especially for heat events. As we warm the planet, we're seeing more frequent and more intense heat waves, both on land and in our oceans. Our summers are getting hotter. So last year's hot summer in South Korea, we'd be pretty confident attributing that to global warming and humanity's effect on the climate system. We also know that for things like fires, fire weather is a bit more complicated, but we are enhancing the conditions associated with fires. And it's likely that with the LA fires recently, climate change would have played a role in that. And also for extreme rain events. And South Korea is no stranger to major flood events. When we have impactful flash flood events, particularly in big cities like in Seoul or Busan, we can also often attribute a part of that to climate change. We know that climate change is making the atmosphere able to hold a bit more moisture, and when we have extreme rain events, they're a bit heavier than they would be otherwise. So climate change is affecting all aspects of our extreme weather, and definitely, that's kind of where people see the biggest effects of climate change.
Yes. We do have a question from one of our listeners. I don't know if you can answer it for us, but someone wants to know, when is typically the coldest part of winter? And I know today we're more focusing on climate and the larger picture, but someone they're posing the question, when is typically the coldest part of winter, and what factors contribute to this period being the coldest? I mean, I know in every part of the world it's a little different. Here in Korea, we're at the height of winter season right now. So can you kind of explain, at least generally speaking?
Sure. So it depends, as you were saying, it depends where we are on the planet. But if you're quite far from the equator, we typically see quite strong differences between summer and winter because we have big differences in the amount of sunlight we're getting at different times of the year. So in Korea, we're past the winter solstice in Korea, which happened around 21st of December. So the days are getting a bit longer, and the energy from the surface is getting from the sun is a bit higher.
Yes.
But there's also a bit of a lagged effect because the oceans particularly take a long time to warm up and cool down. That means that, especially in coastal areas, so including places like Seoul and Busan, I have to admit I don't know the exact climate, I'm not a South Korean climate expert, but places near the coast are likely to have like a delayed kind of coldest winter temperatures. Relative to places inland where it's more related to just the amount of energy from the sun.
I see. So we have a better idea now. Even though winter solstice has come and gone, we might be seeing the after effects of this the coldest part of winter. And now for our final question, for those of our listeners who might kind of feel like, climate science, in theory, I kind of get it, but how does that pertain to the layperson? How can individuals get a better understanding of why this is important, what we're talking about today, and how they can contribute to positive change?
So I think this is, the biggest problem that humanity faces. We can see this really. We have these extreme weather events, which we know are climate change enhanced, and they're devastating for the people affected. Certainly with the LA fires, we've all seen the images and the videos. It's really shocking. So I think this is the biggest challenge we face. So what do we do? I think, on an individual scale, it's quite hard, isn't it? Like, it's something where there's much more like our leaders need to be doing. So certainly we can vote for parties that have stronger action on climate change as part of their policies. We could put pressure on companies to try and reduce their emissions as well. And also we need to see more technological development. Ultimately, we're going to need to be able to draw down carbon from the atmosphere in order to reach net zero emissions. We ultimately will need to do to kind of halt global warming completely in a few decades' time. So we need to see technological development. So people like engineers and scientists can contribute to this. But yeah, I think for kind of the average person, learning about climate change, thinking about how you interact with the world and the emissions that your activities involve, trying to reduce those, but also thinking about who you vote for. That's probably the big one.
Very important indeed. Well, thank you so much for joining us today as we look into the climate as we know it today. Thank you, Professor.
Thanks.
Yes, this was Professor Andrew King, and we talked about global temperatures rising and 2024 being declared Earth's hottest year on record as well. And as the professor said, yes, tech needs to be developed, but also that our activities, we need to monitor our activities and think about our emissions as well. Something we can do on a personal basis, not just as a nation, but all those little things, they definitely add up. All right, we are due for a song break, so here it is. This is Bad by Michael Jackson.
Broad daylight, I'm telling you on how I feel. Gonna hit your mind. Don't you dare jump on, get on me. Alright, I'm getting you on count three. Just show your stuff or let it be. I'm telling you. So watch your mouth. I know your game, what you're about. When they say the sky's the limit, and to me this really true. I'm a friend, you have seen nothing. There's a way to I get to be I'm bad. Jump on.
Was everybody dancing to Michael Jackson? We're grooving. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can.
Yeah. So how are you, Bonnie?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yes, Bonnie's here for the health, obviously. So really, really quick. Okay, toothpaste from the bottom, middle, wherever. Number 2, socks when you take them off, inside out or right side out. Oh, and number 3, dishes. Do you wash dishes right after you eat, or do you kind of leave them for later?
Oh, I don't want to admit this, but the dishes definitely wait.
Oh, really?
I am like, until there's enough that I can't properly use the sink, I'm like, okay, I'll do them all at once.
Okay.
Because I don't like doing the dishes at all. I hate it. So I'd rather be like in pain once rather than a whole bunch of times throughout the day. Because I cook a lot. I cook a lot at home.
I don't want the little pain like over and over.
Yeah,
like
I just
3
want
times a
one
day.
time. I'm like, okay, I'm going in. And then I get them all done.
I'm going in. Like you're going in.
Yeah, like prepare with my gloves,
All right. What about socks?
Not inside out. Right side out, I guess.
Yes, right side out.
The outside. And what was the first one?
Toothpaste.
Oh.
Some people squeeze in the middle.
Okay, when it's full tube.
Yes.
The middle. And then once it starts getting like halfway full from the bottom.
From the bottom.
Definitely. Who does it from the top?
I don't know. Nobody from the
people out
top.
there?
But people like do from the middle like me. Like I just really don't think
if there's
too much
enough
about
in it.
This is my
that's okay.
theory. At one point, when you're low on toothpaste, you're going to have to squeeze it anyway.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
I'm with you on that.
All right. What are we talking about today for the health?
Okay. So today, because it's still the beginning of the year,
Yes.
there's still all these diet trends that are going on. There's old ones that come back. There's always new ones that come about.
There's always something.
But a very common one that I always hear from people in the beginning of the year is I'm cutting down on my carbs. Not eating carbohydrates. So pasta, rice, bread. A lot of people try to avoid these things. And this is a common diet.
I think
fad.
Korean, what is it? 탄수화물 줄이기? Like, cutting down on carbs.
Yeah.
Low carb.
Yeah. And I've even heard people saying this in the beginning of the year already. But I'm here to tell you bread lovers out there, don't stop. You don't have to stop.
We don't have to stop.
We don't have to stop. So eat the bread, but I'm going to tell you which bread to eat for your health.
I'm taking notes.
For your health.
Perk up your ears.
Sourdough bread. Do you know this? Do you love this?
I love sourdough. So in Korean, we looked it up. I thought it was just called sourdough, but they call it 발효빵. Is that what it's called?
발효한 빵.
발효한 빵, right?
Because it is a fermented bread.
It's true, right.
Which makes this a very different kind of bread from other breads that we see on the shelf.
Yes.
And this bread, we can even say is good for your health. It's a good carb.
Yay.
So you can eat it. And not only is it a good carb, but it's actually good for you as well.
Okay.
And even can help you live longer.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Sourdough.
Yes. I know a lot of you are probably cheering out there like, yay, oh my gosh, we have a bread on our side. So it has tons of nutritional benefits because of this unique fermentation process made when it's being made. But people in Sardinia, which is a blue zone, and I've covered this before, a blue zone is where there are the highest number of centennials, which is people that live to 100.
That's right.
So Sardinia is one of these zones, and in Sardinia, they eat a lot of this bread. A lot of this sourdough bread. So it can actually help you live longer, and I'm here to tell you how.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, first thing, it's easier to digest. So easy on your tummy. This natural fermentation process, it actually breaks down the gluten and the starch in the bread. So for people that have kind of a gluten intolerance, this will not upset your tummy as much as other breads. So this will be nice and easy for your body to digest. And then it also supports your gut health.
Because of the fermentation, right?
Yes, the fermentation. There's probiotics in this bread. There are prebiotics in this bread.
Yes.
So it's very beneficial for the bacteria in your gut, which is always really great.
Sure.
And then this can help maintain a healthy microbiome. So we always hear about the probiotics, prebiotics. Of course, in Korea, we have lots of great fermented food. Kimchi, a natural staple of our diet. But we have a bread that also helps as well. And this is a big one. It lowers your glycemic index. So glycemic index means the blood sugar in your body. So what we have right now is a lot of blood sugar spikes that people get when you're eating really sugary, really starchy, high gluten foods. And these high glucose spikes are really bad for you because it's related to your body aging quicker. It actually gets you more fatigued. So if you notice you have a lot of artificial, candy or sugars, you get like this rush of energy. But
and then you have a drop.
You always have that drop, right? That's that glycemic index going really high, spiking, and then dropping. But this also has very long-term effects as well.
Yes. So I was going to say, I'm surprised that it's better for you, like on the glycemic index level, even more so than the whole grain bread.
Oh, yes.
Because we always think whole grain is good.
Yes.
We all know that white bread is not so good.
Well, your whole grain is better than your white
bread.
Yes.
But sourdough is better.
Sourdough is better. And I wouldn't go as far as saying whole grain is good for you.
It's better.
It's better for
than
you.
the white bread.
Yeah. I mean, it's still going to cause a little bit of that glucose spike in you. But this sourdough bread, it's not only not going to give you that spike, but it actually lowers your glycemic load by the whole meal that you're eating. So it's not just the bread. Whatever else you're eating with that bread, it's going to lower that glycemic load on your body by 25%.
I'm so happy because I love sourdough.
Yeah, a whole fourth lowered just by this bread. So this is all because of a bacteria that is used in the bread. Instead of yeast, commercial yeast that most traditional breads use, it uses a bacteria called lactobacillus. Yes. I want to get it right. So that lactobacillus, it lowers that gluten and it also metabolizes much slower, which then lowers your glycemic load. So not only, like I said, does it lower the whole glycemic load of your whole meal that you're having, but long-term effects, this is not going to get you as fatigued. It's going to slow the aging process in your body. Because when you have lots of high spikes and low drops, that ages your body faster, and it also gives you a high risk of type 2 diabetes. So this is a bread that's actually going to prevent these things in your body.
Yes. We have a question from our listener. 김치빵인가요? 발효빵? So no. We don't want you to get confused. I wish we could get like a photo up there on or at least our note-to page. Sourdough bread, it looks like any other bread. It's just like what goes in it is different. The yeast is different.
Yes, it's a bacteria, the lactobacillus instead of that yeast. So if you have sourdough bread, it actually kind of tastes a little bit sour.
Sour, it does.
Yeah. And if you look on the outside of the bread, sometimes you'll see like it almost looks like there's little bubbles that have popped on the outside of it.
Yes.
Sourdough bread is also traditionally used as like a bread bowl. If you ever have gone abroad and get clam chowder in a bread bowl, that's the sourdough bread that is used.
That's
and when you cut it open, you can almost see like big holes in the inside as well. You can see that bacteria that has popped. So this bread also improves your nutrient absorption in your body. So that lactic acid bacteria in the fermentation process makes nutrients like zinc, magnesium, vitamin B vitamins more easily absorbed into your body. So it blocks this thing called phytic acid, and that phytic acid blocks those really good nutrients from getting absorbed in your body. And the sourdough bacteria actually lowers that. It reduces that phytic acid, so it makes those nutrients better absorbed in your body. Good news.
Yes.
It's also rich in antioxidants, which is great. Antioxidant oxidation actually ages your cells, ages your body. So it's high in antioxidants, which will slow down that aging process.
Sure.
And can also heighten those essential minerals being absorbed into your body. It's free of additives. So traditional sourdough, really simple actually. If you're a baker and want to do this at home,
I'm going to try.
Only a couple ingredients. We only have 4 ingredients. The flour, the water, salt, and the sourdough starter.
Yes.
That's it. That's all you need. So you don't need a whole bunch of other additives or preservatives into the bread. So it has a longer shelf life as well. So as opposed to other breads that you find on your grocery store shelf, this sourdough bread has a natural preservative inside of it. So you don't have to put in all of these other additive, unnatural preservatives in it to make it go longer. And then also, aside from all the other really great benefits, if you are someone that is concerned about your calorie intake, sourdough bread has a lower calorie count. It also reduces bloating, and it's less likely to lead to IBS symptoms, such as maybe cramping or abdominal pain that you get when you have lots of other starchy foods. So this will lower that.
Okay.
And sourdough bread, you might be saying like, where can I get this, right?
I'm going to make some today.
Yes.
I'm
easy to make. Like I said, only 4 ingredients. And then also, if you're going to, I suggest finding a local bakery because we live in Korea that has so many great bakeries around.
Yes.
Find a local bakery that has sourdough bread and get it there as opposed to the grocery store. I actually don't know if you can find sourdough bread in the grocery store.
I haven't seen it. Maybe at the marts that I go to. I haven't seen sourdough bread at like a daeongmachi.
Yeah.
Not yet.
I don't think I have either. So
but at a bakery, yes.
But at a local bakery,
Right.
Tons of them make really delicious sourdough bread. And it actually stays on your counter. If you're going to eat it, stays on your counter, for a couple days.
Sure.
But if you're not going to eat all of it super fast, slice it up, put it in the freezer. And then when you warm it up, it will
Yes.
taste just as good.
Yum.
Yes.
Now,
good news, you guys.
Only 4 ingredients.
Yeah.
So I
and
can
really
get-
easy to make at home. So if you have an oven, if you have the ability,
Yes.
try to make it at home. And it'll be your new favorite.
I just need the
good carb.
sourdough starter. I need to get that.
Yes.
So after I get that, I'll be good to go.
Yeah, and you can get that online as well. You can search online.
Well,
Easy.
thank you for this really, really interesting and useful information. Something we can do.
Yeah, so if you're
Switching
going to
sourdough,
eat bread,
yes.
don't be concerned about eating sourdough bread. You can have it guilt-free.
All right. Love anything that is guilt-free. Thank you, Bonnie.
You're welcome.
Well, it's time to wrap up The Health with Bonnie and actually the entire show for today. So thanks for tuning in. Here is Why So Serious by Shiny as requested by Michael. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
자정 막히는 새벽 진흙 쏟는 듯 무언가 모두 나를 무서워했지 앞으로 뻗은 두 팔랑 살아있는 워딩데 숨은 차가웠지 숨 쉬는 게 지겨워질 쯤 그대 발견 Why so serious 로미오와 줄리엣 슬픈 러브스토리가 아니야 다 잘 될 거야 결국 happy ending 걸 아는 너야 내 소설맨이야 하지만 불썩대던 심장 엔진을 renew 피기였던 나의 입술이 다시 붉은 컬러로 Baby 날 어떻게 생각해 Baby 어떻게 생각해 난 무섭지 않아요 So get in 이게 너도 미리 언제부터였는지 기억도 안 나네 대충 100년 전 그냥 그댈 본 날부터 시작이다 이제부터 그게 더 중요하니까 이런 좀비 영화 어디서 본 것 같은데 I know 이건 특별해 비틀대는 걸음으로 걷자 그게 우리 사랑 방식 Why so serious 로미오와 줄리엣 슬픈 러브스토리가 아니야 다 잘 될 거야 결국 해피 엔딩을 아는 노년의 소설맨이야 하지만 불썩대던 심장 엔진을 renew 이게 어떤 나의 입술이 다시 붉은 colors Baby 날 어떻게 생각해 Baby 어떻게 생각해
귀뚜라미는 지키겠습니다. 지진으로부터 가스 누출로부터 환경